All right, good to go. Recording started.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thanks everyone for coming along to our kickoff meeting for the Spark testing event. It's going to be held in Brisbane next week. Before I begin, just like to start with an acknowledgement of country. So that we acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we all gather today. In Canberra, that's the Ngunnawal people. We pay our respect to elders past and present and extend our respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And we acknowledge the First Peoples as the first scientists, educators, and healers. So, agenda for today is we'll be having a bit of an overview of the test event, going through the specifics of each of the testing streams that we've got, and then looking at some of the testing tools and support that we'll have on the day. But then, importantly, we're going to go around the room and have an introduction from each of you and ask you what you want to get out of the testing event and what your focus is going to be. Okay, so on the day, we're going to have quite a few sparked people in the room helping everyone get through the testing. I won't go through everyone, but yeah, there will be a lot of people. Everyone will be wearing their Spark shirt, and we'll be floating around the room to help you, get up and running and capture those test results and help you with whatever you need to be doing. There's a couple of links on the screen there. The first one is to the event page itself, which is an overview of the event, and then has all the information about each of the different streams, the test servers, the test data that you can use, the patient IDs that you can use, and the different test kits that we've got available. And then we're also using Zulip as the event chat so that we can collaborate there and get any questions answered by the right people. In terms of the overview, so what we're looking to get out of this event is, I guess, a hands-on environment for testing your fire-enabled products and to get some collaboration in the room amongst those who are implementing. We do have 4 different streams. So we've got AU Core, AU Patient Summary, AU e-requesting, and Smart Forms. And we want to identify any challenges or gaps or any issues that you find in implementing those implementation guides so that we can resolve those as we are coming up to the various releases of those particular IGs. On the day, we'll have a pretty structured environment for some real-time testing. We're going to have real servers, test servers, but real systems that you can connect with, and the opportunity to work collaboratively with other implementers to test out your implementation of each of those IGs, whatever you may be testing, and showcase that interoperability amongst those systems. And one of our big goals is that we want to share any insights and gather feedback that we can use to enhance and mature the IGs. We do have some test coverage goals ourselves, and we would really like to improve our test coverage across the different profiles and interactions and elements that we've got captured in the IG. I'd like to start with a Menti. I'm just going to pass over to Michael to run that Menti. This is just about capturing what your goals are for the Sparked event. Are you able to take
Yep, so
control?
that QR code there on your screen will work. So just scan that, or you can go to menti.com and enter that code. So this is really about what you want out of the day. So we've talked a little bit about testing the Fire IG and the like, but this is a great opportunity for you to come together with other people implementing fire systems. So we're really keen to know what you want out of the day. This is all about you guys and giving you an environment where you can test your systems. The more we know about what you want to do, the more we can help you get there. So I think anything you've got to contribute would like to get out of the day, please let us know. I might just share that Menti to see what people are putting up. Yeah, someone's got a patient summary fire server. That's great. Absolutely want to test that. If you didn't catch that previous slide, the QR code is available here. You can still scan. Early feedback on design concepts for generating patient summary. Excellent. I'll move that up there. Over there. There we go. Sharing summaries of national infrastructure, patient story. Excellent. Discuss details.
Can I just say, I'm actually pretty excited. We've got someone doing patient story. That's pretty cool.
Yes. Lots of good stuff here. And I think that's one of the things we're looking at here too. We've had a combined Sparked event here. It goes across patient summary, e-requesting, AU core, and as well as smart forms, smart on fire. Having that opportunity really gives you a good chance to mix and match too. If you're across multiple things you've got interested in, you don't have to stick to the one theme. If you're trying to learn more or find out more about some of the other streams, this is a good opportunity to have a play, do some testing, see how it might integrate with your systems, talk to the people that will be in the room or virtually to help you out. So, excellent. Okay, I think things have slowed down there. I'll leave that Menti open. So if you do have some thoughts as you go through this, please feel free to add to it. Yeah, the more we know, the more we can help you on the day. So, thanks.
Cool, thanks, Michael. Oh, I'm no longer sharing. I'll do that again. Okay. I'll just get to where I was at. Great. So on the day, we are really looking for some feedback. So we'd be really keen to get your experiences and improve our IG specifications. A couple of ways to do that. So the first one is to register on the HL7 Confluence and Jira systems. This allows you to provide feedback either on pages that we have on Confluence or directly within Jira itself to raise bugs or feature requests or any gaps that you might have. So those links there, which we'll provide after this presentation, will take you where you can provide the feedback directly into the IGs themselves. You can also go to the bottom of each IG and there's a link that says provide feedback or report a bug. And that will take you to the same spot in Jira itself. For the test results, as I said, we're going to have lots of Spark people on the ground to help you do this. But what we're looking from the test results is to assess the coverage and maturity of those Sparked IGs that we have, and to identify and capture, I guess, which parts of the IG were exercised and by what types of systems. So whether that's a requester or a responder type system or a server client type system. And then we know which parts of the IGs are being exercised. The Sparked people will help you fill that in. We've got some Excel sheets to capture that data. The individual results that you provide won't be shared. We will update a summary page on Confluence and report that back to the various HL7AU working groups and TDGs. And any test results that you provide will be destroyed. We have a privacy policy in Sparked around not keeping that after we analyze it. And yeah, so you can be assured that any test data you provide will be handled appropriately.
Steve, sorry, I might just add to that a little bit, just back on the test data. This is not about pass or fail. Like we're not trying to do conformance here to say, oh, you passed all these tests or you failed all these tests. This is really about what you've tested. So it's actually absolutely valuable results to say we tested a whole heap of things. They all failed. They're all things in our system we're working on. We know about it, but it was a good opportunity for us to test all these different bits and passes. So this is not about pass-fail testing. It's not about conformance. It's just about which parts of the different implementation guides you've exercised, you had a go at, you tested. So then we know whether there's parts of the IGs that haven't been tested, and maybe we should try and get some more systems to test these bits because no one's been playing with it. So this is really just looking at coverage. So failed test results are great. Like, it just tells us, oh, you've been playing with it and you've learned something from it, whatever. But we're not publishing. We're not saying, hey, you failed these tests. They passed these tests. It's not about that at all. It's just about which parts of the spec have been tested, so that we know people have been trying it and testing it out. So it's definitely not about pass or fail. We don't care about pass or fails. Fails are actually good. We're learning together. We're trying to identify problems in systems. We're trying to identify problems in the spec. And so, yeah, that's all absolutely valuable information. And like we said, we're not going to share. We're not going to say, hey, you failed these tests and they passed these tests. It's not about that at all.
Yep, absolutely. Coverage, not pass fail. Yep, great point. Cool. Okay, so on the day, we start at around 8:30 for registration, and then we're going to kick off at 9. And we've running through our standard format if you've been to one of the Sparked events before. So the focus of the day really is around the testing and that integration between systems. And then in the afternoon, we'll start collecting that data from you. And later in the afternoon, we'll do a report back on what we achieved throughout the day. So there's a bit of a checklist for each participant to run through. We do have all the information on the testing event info page. And then what we would like you to do is to complete the participant system details. So this tells us about what system you're bringing, if you have a server available, any test data available, anything that you're bringing along, have that information on there. That allows other people to connect with you, but also gives us a good idea of what's happening in the room. Make sure you're familiar with the various implementation guide that you are testing. This week we're publishing the snapshots of the various IGs and making those available, so they'll be stable and you'll be able to read through those and see all the latest changes. And just make sure that any system that you bring is updated with that latest IG snapshot. So that's a link there. You can scan that link and that'll take you to the participant checklist or the participant details page. Okay, so now we're going to go into each of the individual streams. So I'm going to cover AU Core and patient summary, and then I'll pass over to Michael and Liam for e-requesting and then smart forms. So in AU Core, we have a number of actors that we're looking at testing. So we have the AU Core requester, which essentially would be a client, and then the AU Core responder, which would be a server. So the AU Core requester makes data access requests and receives that information back. And the responder responds to those data access requests and provides that data back. So we're looking at testing both of those sides of the IG. So when we're looking at profiles, we're saying we want to test both the requester and the responder side of that particular profile, for example. We do have a couple of new profiles in AU Core R2. So we've got the healthcare service, medication statement, and related person. And again, as I mentioned, we're looking at testing both sides of that. So making requests for healthcare service to an endpoint, and then that endpoint responding with healthcare service, for example. But I'd just like to ask the question, is anyone intending on testing healthcare service this time around, just so we know if that's going to be covered? Just raise your hand if so. I can't see any hand. Oh, here we go. Chandan, yeah. Great. Is that a question, or did you want to, or you are actually testing?
No, I'll be interested in testing with the
Okay.
healthcare services. Yep.
Excellent. Okay, great. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so there are 3 new profiles that we'll have available there. We do have some additional must support requirements in AU Core R2 also. So we have allergy intolerance note, the lot number for immunizations, and the dosage instruction text for medication request. Again, looking at testing the requester and responder side of those new must support elements. And then we have a whole stack of existing profiles and data elements in AU Core. One that was left over on related person that we'd like to get some more coverage on is related person name text. That's on the responder side, so the server side. And this time around, we really would like to get a lot of focus on FHIR clients. So we're especially looking at that requester side of things, the FHIR client side, where we're doing either searches with various parameters, and you can realize that picture is a little bit hard to see, but it is on the Confluence page. Different search parameter combinations. So just as an example, if you're making a request for a patient, potentially doing a demographic search on maybe birth date and family name, or family name and gender, that will give us a bit of coverage across those search parameter combinations, for example. And then also doing the interaction, the read interaction, which is going specifically to an identified resource and reading that resource directly off the server. The other question I wanted to ask was, we have a change in the AU Medicare card number identifier cardinality, where that has been relaxed from being either 0 or 1 to being 0 to many. I'd be curious to know if anyone's interested in testing that particular scenario. We don't have any test data examples for that at the moment, but we can potentially provide some or use some that other people have. So if anyone's interested in testing that, would be interested in knowing about that one. And then some links here. So the 2.0.0 draft of the AU Core FHIR IG has now been released. This is a snapshot created just yesterday, so is fully up to date with everything that's gone into AU Core. And that's the snapshot that you should be using for testing. There's a link there or a QR code to take you to the published IG. You can download the IG from there also to install in your servers. And just a reminder, if you are participating in AU Core testing, please register your system information and what you're testing, what you're bringing. Again, that's the link to the participant system details page. Okay, flipping over to patient summary now. So patient summary, a little bit different in what we want to test. We really want your focus to be on what your use case is. So some of the scenarios of interest that we have is around producing an AU patient summary document or exchanging or consuming an AU patient summary document. We're interested in seeing people that are able to view patient summaries also, and also not forgetting IPS. So if you're able to consume an IPS document, that'd be really great information to see as well. And also, I guess some of the questions that we're looking at answering on the day are, how are you generating the patient summary? Is it a snapshot? Is it produced on demand? And then also, how are you exchanging those patient summaries? Is it internal between systems, or are you actually making it available externally? So potentially using some sort of encryption or tokens or even smart health links to pass those patient summaries around and provide access. And really importantly, we're looking at, does it conform? So we've been running a lot of conformance sessions about what it means to conform to patient summary. And so on the day, we're specifically talking about patient summaries in that Australian clinical context. Does it conform to the guidelines that we're coming up with for AUPS? We still do have a number of profiles in AU patient summary that we do need a lot of test coverage on. So if you're testing patient summary, the Sparked people in the room will be able to capture what profiles you're hitting or making available or processing, and getting our test coverage up. So we can capture all those details, and we're also looking at capturing details on what you're using to do those interactions. So if that's the dollar summary or dollar doc ref that we've talked about in the past, or if it's bundle interactions or document references or anything else that you're using to consume or produce or exchange patient summaries, we'd be really interested in capturing that information also. In terms of the version that you should be using for patient summary, so this is the 020 preview. This has been released, and that's the version you should be using for your testing. And sorry, it hasn't been released. Is that what you're about to say, Danielle?
It sure was. I was about to go, yes, no, not available yet.
Yep, no, not yet.
We'll announce it on the Zulip channel as soon as it's ready, but I reckon that's tomorrow morning.
Yeah, so it'll definitely be ready really soon. And yeah, as Danielle said, we'll post out about that. Alrighty, and so again, if you're looking at testing patient summary, please go and register your details over on that same page. That's the link, just a reminder. We're really keen to get all the information about who's testing what and what you're bringing on the day. I'm going to pass over to Michael for the e-requesting testing stream.
Yeah, you can probably just keep sharing for me. I'll just tell you when it jumps to the next slide. I think you can jump to the next one. Now, I just updated that text. Oh, it didn't come through. It hasn't been released yet either, our e-requesting snapshot. They're going to be released within the next day. We've got a 040 preview snapshot of the IG. It's got all the changes, normative changes from decisions we've made in the recent TDG meetings. So we'll announce on Zulip once that's available, but should be sometime tomorrow, I expect. I'm going to jump through the details here of e-requesting. Please raise your hand, interrupt me. Happy to take questions as we go through this because I might jump through it reasonably quickly, but if you've got questions, you want me to go in more detail, please jump in, ask a question, and we can stop and talk about those points a bit more. So our key priorities for testing at this test event, we're moving to ballot for e-requesting release 1 in August. So this is a really important opportunity to test what we have now and get in any changes that we might need before we go to ballot. So the focus really is in testing new or previously untested features of e-requesting. So some things that have come in recently around supporting info. We've got pregnancy status in there. We've got clinical context, which is a document reference. And we've also just added a search parameter for supporting info. So it's a really good opportunity to test that, make sure they're fit for purpose. We've also got the new My Health Record consent withdrawal profile. We've got communication requests for copy to, patient and urgent provider. We've got our coverage with some new obligations on it. One of the other main things is our radiology referral value set has now moved to NCTS. So that used to be within the FHIR IG. It is now an NCTS value set. So it's a great opportunity to test that, make sure we've mapped that correctly. And also, if anyone wants to try and test being a patient actor, we've mainly been focused on places and fillers, but a great opportunity if someone wants to pretend to be a patient actor, might want to plug something in there to view the status of a service request. The profiles, like I said, we're now complete with what we're looking at for all the profiles for release 1 of e-requesting. So this just gives you an indication of how they all tie together. This is all in the IG. The blue ones are our e-requesting profiles. We reference off to AU Core ones in the green. And we've got an IPS one there in the orange there as well for pregnancy status. So we're looking at exercising the new profiles with diagnostic requests, tasks, coverage, and we'll be using all the AU Core profiles as well for encounter, practitioner role, practitioner organisation, patient, those sorts of things. Jumping to the next one. So there we've got our consent resource as well, which is the My Health Record consent withdrawal. We've also got the 3 different types of communication requests for the urgent provider, copy to, and patient. So now we've got those there and it's complete. great opportunity to start testing end-to-end e-requesting with all of those references. I mentioned a little bit before, but these are the core actors that you'd be looking at testing. You can be any or all of these. We've got the placer, which creates the diagnostic requests. We've got the filler, which is doing fulfillment of the diagnostic requests. We've got an e-requesting server in the middle, and that one down the bottom there as well with the patient actor, who would be a patient looking at the status of their service requests as they go through. So you can test the systems. They're all client systems around the outside with a server in the middle who does the coordination. The state machine, so this is one of the more complex areas of e-requesting. So for a diagnostic request, which might be an imaging request or a pathology request, we have a task which is used to track fulfillment of that request. And that diagnostic request task has a state machine associated with it, which is this diagram here, which allows you to track the progress of the fulfillment of that diagnostic request. The ones at the top there with requested, received, and accepted. So that's when a placer has created a request. It would have a status of requested. It would then be a filler can change the state to received. So that would be in the case of probably a directed request, and they would say, I've received that directed request. It may be an undirected request, which might go straight to accepted. So when the patient walks in the door or makes an appointment, you say, I've accepted this request. There's also the opportunity here to reject a request, which is, I can't process that. There's something wrong with the request. I can't fulfill that service. I may reject it. From there, it moves to in progress. So in progress is actually, I'm in the process of fulfilling the request. The patient is here, we're performing the procedure or the test. And from there, the options are to either complete the request or mark it as failed. So this allows the placer as well as the patient to be able to monitor the request and see where it's at, the fulfillment status. Happy to take any questions here. If anyone wants to delve into any of that more or has any specific questions on the day, also welcome to go through. Well, we can sit down and go through this in more detail as well. Might jump to the next one. Another part is managing a diagnostic request order. So this might be where there's multiple pathology tests created as part of a single order. So we may have multiple diagnostic requests. There'll be one for each test. And they are actually self-contained and operate independently. But you can have a group of tests as part of an order, and we'd have a placer group number. So there would be a unique identifier that identifies this group of requests, and that's the PGN, placer group number. That applies to the diagnostic request, it applies to the task, it applies to the task group. So they can be all identified as part of the same order. We also have things on the diagnostic request as a display sequence, which if we're living in a hybrid world between paper and electronic, that display sequence would enable you to order the electronic requests in the same order they might be printed on a page. If you're trying to, on a piece of paper, if you're trying to do reconciliation between paper and electronic, it doesn't affect the processing order of those diagnostic requests. It's just about a visual display if you want to try and match the paper for reconciliation and the like. And we have a task group, which is used by the filler to access or query to get all of the tasks that belong to the same group for fulfillment. And then on the right there, we have common supporting info resources. So this would be our pregnancy status, for example, as well as clinical context, the clinical notes that go with it. Rather than having to specify different resources for each diagnostic request, if they're part of the same order, the same group, you can have one instance of those supporting info resources and all the diagnostic requests reference the same instance, so you don't have to duplicate information. We'll have a Spark test server that'll act as the server role for e-requesting. So you're welcome to use that. It'll be loaded with the e-requesting AU core and AU base profiles. It'll be loaded with our HL7 AU test data. It'll be configured with the terminology server. It will be anonymous access if you're just doing read, but if you're doing create or updates, acting as a filler or replacer. We'll provide the details on the participant page, so you can get access to create and updates. Once we've got the snapshot ready and loaded onto here, as well as all the test data, we'll put a notification on Zulip. So we'll let you know as soon as that will be ready, but that'll be a bit later this week. So you can use that server. There'll be other participants coming who'll have their own servers as well, so you can test between different servers versus the Sparked one versus someone else's. You can have play with this before the event. So it's there for you to use to support your testing. Like I said, our connection details are on this participant's system page. We'll put the connection details once we've got the accounts ready. Please put your details on there. If you've got client systems, server systems, put them on there so we can collaboratively work together on the day and test out different systems. Just before we move on, was there any questions about e-requesting that anyone had? No. Happy for you to reach out. If you do have questions, just go to Zulip, post them on there. One of us will jump on it and get back to you. So please use Zulip. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Michael. Hand over to Liam. I'll keep sharing if you like.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. That sounds good. You can just keep sharing.
Yeah.
Yep, perfect. So we've got two roles that we're going to look at for this testing event. We've got a patient management system and we've got a client application. We'll supply systems that can act in either of these roles, so so you can just bring along whichever counterpart you like. We'll also provide material to test out the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander health check or Smart Health Check. But again, if there are other forms that folks are interested in and want to bring along, they can be accommodated too. So each of these roles have actors associated with them. We've got the app, which just has a single actor, but the patient management system has three. There's a host file server, and a host authorization server, and all three of these actors actually need to be supported to fulfill that role. And next slide, please. Okay, so I'm just going to briefly run through this sequence. This is the sequence we're going to be testing mostly, but obviously we can get into this in more detail on the day. But this is a flow diagram, and it's labeled with SHC, which is Smart Health Check, but it's a common pattern for other forms too, so don't worry too much about that. So the sequence will begin with a user initiating the launch of the Smart Health Check app, and the first set of interactions are labeled 1 to 5. They just describe the standard Smart App launch sequence, but it also includes a supply of a questionnaire as fire context that the app can use to render the correct questionnaire. The next set of interactions describe the Smart Health Check app using the access token that gained from the previous step to request FHIR resources from the host FHIR server. So that's those, we're looking at 6 now. So the host FHIR server will then be able to respond to those requests and supply the Smart Health Check app with those resources. Okay, next slide. Okay, so the user can then fill in a form and trigger write-back operations. So the app will be able to request write-back operations to the host FHIR server for it to process. And there's two sort of scenarios we've got for writing back. We've got a user who just wishes to save a form in a draft state, which means that just a questionnaire response will be written back. The other one is if the user wants to save a a form as final. So the questionnaire response can be written back, but also along with that, it can we can provide a set of FHIR resources in a transaction bundle that can also be written back. Okay, yep. So that's the overall flow really that we're going to be testing. We've split that flow into just 2 scenarios, depending on which role you want to play pretty much. And the first scenario here is for those playing along as a patient management system. So we'll be testing that the patient management system can perform the Smart App launch sequence. It can launch the Smart Forms application. And again, we'll have the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Health Check questionnaire available for that. And then we'll test that the PMS can respond to the app's requests and supply the correct resources. For the health check, that scope of resources will be read interactions for patient, practitioner, and encounter. And there'll also be search requests for condition, observation, medication statement, allergy intolerance, and immunization. Next slide. Yep. So then looking at writeback, we can test that the PMS can create or update a questionnaire response. And then that transaction bundle we've put as a bit of an added bonus here, but because it's fairly new, but really there's a chance to consume that transaction bundle that contains FHIR resources with post and patch methods. So that'll be the scope, patient, condition, observation, medication statement, allergy intolerance, and immunization. Next slide. For scenario 2, it's the same set of testing goals, but with the focus on playing the role of the Smart Forms app. So we can test the app can be launched according to the Smart App launch and according to Smart App launch, and then render a questionnaire. It can fetch FHIR resources to pre-populate a form. It can generate a questionnaire response and send a create or update request along with it. And then same bonus points are up for grabs, I suppose. And the transaction bundle can be generated based on extract definitions from within a questionnaire. Okay, next slide. Yep. As for available resources, we've got the Smart Health Checks FHIR IG. The key artifacts in that will be the capability statements, which are going to describe the FHIR profiles, RESTful interactions, and search parameters required for the health check. We also have a pre-population test data server, as well as a form server, and 3 extra tools just listed there, which are each of them really useful depending on what role you want to play. But that's it from me. Are there any questions? Oh, and yeah, make sure you update the participant system details page, please. Any questions for me? Nope. All right, back to you, Steve.
Okay, thanks, Liam. Okay, so we've spoken a lot about, I guess, what we want out of the testing event, what our goals are, but what we'd really like to hear from is the people that are on the call, hear from you and what you're looking at testing, what IGs you're going to be using, test data, what you really want to get out of the day. So I'm just going to pick a couple of people at random to kick that off. So Ricardo, if you're on the call, can you, or Kath, someone from the agency, how about you kick us off with what you're looking at doing on the day? Okay.
I'm not sure Ricardo's in this meeting.
I thought I saw him on the.
He might have dropped. I can jump in quickly.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tariq. I'm from the clinical informatics team, so Ricardo's team. Actually, the agency has 2 things that is coming to the testing event with. The first one is within the AU patient summary stream. So we are looking to get some early feedback from the participant on some design concepts that we are thinking about when it comes to patient summary, especially the production or the generation of the patient summary, the patient story section, the provenance and the persistence of the patient summary. And also we have another participation with the CHAP form, which is part of the Smart Form app. So a questionnaire response type of application.
Thanks, Tarek. I've got some questions related to that.
Sure.
Is that, let me go on camera. Apologies. Is that, are you going to bring some, I guess, samples of what's being expected, and how are we going to make those available?
Good. Yeah. So we are coming up with a FHIR server, like an endpoint on a FHIR server that participants can hit to generate a patient summary document. And we have an implementation guide as well that explains how to interact with that server.
Okay, so from the patient summary side of things, in your participant list, you'll also need to list out, I guess, so the IG, and in terms of test data, and this is kind of something I was going to ask around Stephen and Michael Wilson, on the testing information page, and maybe I'll share my screen because I think this is the easiest way to do it for everybody. So we have this kind of this testing information page that everyone's been linked to, right? And it's kind of got for the different IGs, and I know there's a whole bunch of combined stuff going on, but like for patient summary, we've got public test data. So I think if you've got some particular examples, it would be great if you could just add on to this row.
Well, yes.
Perfect. And that also goes, I guess, for everybody else on the line. If you've got any data or any particular servers that people can connect to, that would also be really useful to just directly add in to this table.
Sure. Yes.
Okay. No, that's really interesting. Thanks, Tarek.
Thank you.
Excellent. So just running down the list then, Alan, I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name, apologies, but Zivanovic.
Fine.
Yeah, welcome. Would you like to go through what you want to get out of the day and what you're testing?
Sure, thanks. So we as you are familiar, we already tested the CVD calculator from the Heart Foundation. It's already been there in Spark. We are bringing a test environment for the same calculator with the addition of launch parameters. So you will be testing the same CVD calculator launch procedure with the new token that you put in your HTTP header as additional launch parameter. So in brief, the purpose of this token is an attempt basically to make sure whoever will use this calculator in the future is on the same page with the Heart Foundation and the general purpose of this calculator. So who wouldn't be on the same page, you're asking? Well, that would be, according to the experience from previous calculator, there could be some tobacco companies, there could be some insurance companies, or anybody who wants to use this calculator for anything else other than helping mitigate disease. The main purpose of the calculator. So this is still under consideration, still being thought of, but we would like you to test it. You just provide additional parameter and launch the same CVD calculator, and we wait for your feedback. What do you think about it, and so on. Again, the purpose of this token is not tracking anybody, or it's not certainly not a security feature. It's just to make sure that everybody is on the same page. And if this goes live like this, all you have to do as a software provider to contact the Heart Foundation, obtain the token, and you need one token, and you just share it with all of your customers, all of your deployments, whenever you use your system and you want to use the CVD calculator, use the same token. That's all. So it will be very simple to get this token if this goes live like this.
Excellent. That sounds really interesting. Angus.
Hello. Sorry, getting off mute. You pick on me sometime. Yes, so I represent Sonic Healthcare. So we're going to try and bring pretty much what we bring to the Connectathons. So we'll have a sort of proof of concept via server for e-requesting, and hooked onto that as a filler, as a lab, and radiology will be consuming file or requests that go into that server. And then we have a sort of mocked back end that just takes them through the statuses as if they were being processed by a lab, like they've been received and then collected and then in the lab and then completed. And there's just a timer that sets them through those statuses over time. So it's pretty much, if anyone's been to a Connectathon, it's the same sort of thing we've brought there. So we're going to try and set that up, and that'll allow people who wish to place orders to, as a target, they could place them that actually has a backend that will consume them. It, fingers crossed, should have the latest Sparked profiles within it on. We can turn them on and off, but it's got the old one, so I have to load the new one. So hopefully I get some time to do that before the event. So it will do validation, and that can be turned off if we need to. Yeah, and I guess we're just continuing to look for sort of robustness in our software that any rubbish you can throw at it can handle without falling over in a mess. It's been running in prod for about 2 years now, so it's pretty solid. It will also allow request sharing, which is probably a bit of a new concept we haven't really covered in Spark, so it can do that as well. I guess that's enough to say about it.
Great, looking forward to that one. Let's go Grant, and then just to prep people, we'll go Chandan after that one.
Look, hi everyone. We have some interest in IPS. We've done some work on that. We have high interest in collaborating with the agency's effort, so I'll leave it at that.
Excellent. Chandan, would you like to tell us about what you're bringing to the test event?
Yeah, hi everyone. It's Chandan from HealthLink. We're quite keen to try out the new e-requesting release, and also try out the smart app we have with potential PMS systems. So whoever has a Fire server that can launch smart forms, and try it out with the new test data and test profiles for core and AUPS.
Excellent. Let's go Chris, and then Landon.
Hey, g'day. My name's Chris from Alcidion, and we're interested in testing the patient summary. We had good success going to the December testing event, Connectathon, and getting our Fire API tested, and so we're hoping to have some similar progress with the patient summary. We've got a test server loaded with the Fire resources that are available on GitHub, and we've got the Inferno test running, and now we're working our way through a few too many errors, I should say, at this point, but we'll see how we go in a week.
Awesome. Landon? Yep.
Cool, thank you. Best practice software, we'll be bringing our Facade Fire server. We'll be testing AU Core R2 and patient summary against the latest IG guides. We'll be running Inferno. We're also bringing a mobile client to help test that. And we don't need any test data or anything supporting us. Thank you.
Excellent. Be good to see some clients. Let's go Hugo, and then Lisa.
Hi. Just put my camera on. Yeah. Well, depend. What I'll bring will depend on how much I can actually get in the next few days. I'm just chasing contracts right now, and I'm not going very well, so I'm not entirely sure of what of it'll be a TBA basically to what I can actually bring in over next Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Good luck, Lisa.
Yeah, hi everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Lisa Kelman. I'm from the Heart Foundation. Many of you will be familiar with the AusCVD risk calculator that has been developed into a smart on fire application, and you would have tested it previously in the testing environment. We've now deployed that into its environment and looking to test it out there as well as with the token gateway. So anyone who does primary care systems, particularly for general practitioners, and looking to integrate with the application, it would be great for you to test out the compatibility of the application now in its deployed environment and with the token. So thank you.
Great, thanks, Lisa. How about we go to Marika and then Millie?
Marika from Halo Connect. We are bringing a Fire API for it's a facade for BP Premier. We're looking at testing just general resources against AU core profiles and also patient summary. So we've got an international patient summary implementation looking to test against the AU core profile. In terms of support, I've already called it out in the Inferno testing kit queries. So it looks like Ilya's just gotten back to us to say that there are, I guess, basic orthon patient summary is something that we need, and then also an alternate endpoint for testing patient summary, but I think that's all over it. Billy, did I miss anything? Sorry, that's slightly rambly.
No, I think you covered everything.
Okay, excellent. Just looking down my list. Robbie?
Yeah, hi, thanks. I'm with Lisa and Alan on the CVD risk calculator, which you've heard about.
Okay, fantastic. Now, have I missed anyone? Raise your hand or just go on mic. No? Okay, well, it was awesome to hear what everyone's bringing. I think it's going to become a really well-rounded test event. So just, I guess, wrapping up some of the things here. So when you do your testing, we can recognize your contribution to that testing effort. So you can send your logo through to sparked@csiro.au and we will get your logo on the Confluence page and promote that for you. I guess, are there any other questions or does anyone else want to ask anything around the test event for next week? No? Okay. Excellent. So again, some reminders. We've got the event page there and we've got our chat on Zulip that we'll be using. Danielle.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm. So when you get there at 8:30, there will be coffee available, I think. So, I mean, you know, you can get yourself a good coffee. Obviously, lunch, morning tea, afternoon tea is provided. And in the evening, if you're still here, there will be, we'll go off and find somewhere to have a dinner if you're still around. Just wanted to talk about those arrangements.
Excellent. Networking is important. So, all right, I think that brings us to an end. So thanks everyone for joining and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
Putting